Have you ever seen one small detail, one little object, completely change the course of someone's life? What if a poor waitress, working double shifts just to keep food on the table, noticed a billionaire's ring and whispered, "Sir, my mom has that ring"? What happened after left everyone speechless, and you won't believe how it all ended. Stay with me till the end of this story, and before we begin, if you believe kindness and truth always find their way to the light, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Goodness Corner. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this one. On a rainy Thursday evening, Emma wiped down the counter of the small diner where she worked. The neon sign outside flickered, throwing pale light across her tired face. She was 21, young yet aged far beyond her years by the weight of responsibility she carried. Her mother, Margaret, was sick at home, fighting both illness and the crushing reality of unpaid bills. Emma had taken on every extra shift, but the diner barely paid enough to keep the lights on. Tonight, she tied her apron strings tighter and told herself she could survive another shift, even if her shoes were worn out and her back ached from standing too long. The bell above the door jingled, and in walked a man who seemed completely out of place. His tailored suit, polished shoes, and confident stride screamed wealth and power, yet his face was weary, almost haunted. Nobody at the diner recognized him, but Emma had a sharp memory for faces. She'd seen him once on the cover of a business magazine, Daniel Whitmore, a billionaire real estate mogul, known for his ruthless deals and cold-hearted decisions. What was he doing in a shabby diner on the edge of town? Daniel slid into a booth at the back, away from prying eyes. Emma straightened her shoulders and walked over with her notepad, her voice gentle. "Good evening, sir. What can I get for you?" He barely looked up. "Just coffee. Black." His voice was clipped, as though he wasn't used to small talk. Emma nodded and hurried away, but as she set the steaming cup on the table a few minutes later, her eyes caught on something, his hand. A large, bold ring rested on his finger, with an intricate engraving that made her heart jolt. Her breath caught. She had seen that design before. At home, her mother kept a small velvet box hidden under old scarves. Inside was a ring that looked exactly the same. Emma remembered being a child, sneaking it out and asking her mother why they owned something so expensive when they had so little. Margaret had shaken her head and said, it was a gift, from someone long ago. Never ask about it again. And Emma never had. Until now. Her hand trembled slightly as she placed the cup down, her voice no louder than a whisper. "Sir, my mom has that ring." Daniel froze, the cup halfway to his lips. His sharp blue eyes lifted, piercing into hers with sudden intensity. "What did you say?" he asked slowly. Emma swallowed hard, suddenly regretting speaking. I just meant, my mom has one just like that. The same design." She forced a small laugh, trying to lighten the moment. "It's unusual, so I noticed." But Daniel didn't smile. He leaned forward, his jaw tight, his entire demeanor shifting. "What is your mother's name?" The question startled her. Why would a billionaire care about her sick mother? "Margaret," she said hesitantly. "Margaret Hayes." Daniel's face drained of color. For the first time since stepping into the diner, his composure cracked. He gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. "Margaret Hayes," he repeated under his breath, as though the name was a ghost from his past. He set the cup down and pushed the coffee away untouched. "Tell me," he said sharply, does she still wear it?" Emma blinked, confused. "No, sir. She keeps it in a box. She doesn't talk about it." Daniel leaned back, staring into the distance, his chest rising and falling faster than before. To anyone else in the diner, he was just a tired man sipping coffee, but Emma saw it, there was something unraveling inside him. She wanted to ask more, but just then another customer called for service and she excused herself, leaving him to brood over his untouched drink. For the rest of the night, Daniel barely moved. He didn't order food, didn't answer his phone though it rang twice, and every time Emma passed his booth, his eyes followed her with a strange mixture of longing and dread. Finally, as the diner neared closing, he stood and pulled a thick wad of cash from his pocket, placing it on the table without a word. But as he turned to leave, he paused beside Emma. "Tell your mother," his voice faltered, uncharacteristically hesitant. "Tell her Daniel Whitmore was here." Emma stared at him, wide-eyed, as the door jingled shut behind him. She clutched the money, far more than the bill required, and her heart pounded. What connection did this powerful billionaire have to her struggling mother? That night, at home, Emma recounted the strange encounter. Margaret, pale and thin in her armchair, froze at the mention of his name. The teacup in her hands slipped and shattered against the floor. "Daniel Whitmore," she whispered, her face stricken. "He's alive?" Emma's confusion deepened. "Alive? Mom, what are you talking about?" "Of course he's alive, he's one of the richest men in the country." Margaret covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. I thought he would never come back. That chapter of my life was closed forever." "Mom," Emma pressed gently, kneeling beside her, "how do you know him? And why do you have a ring like his?" Margaret shook her head, sobbing silently. "It's a story I prayed you'd never have to hear, Emma. But it seems fate has other plans." Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind spinning with questions. Who was Daniel Whitmore to her mother? Why did he look so shaken at the mention of her name? And what was the story behind that mysterious ring? The next morning, as Emma headed to work again, she found Daniel waiting outside the diner in a sleek black car. He stepped out as she approached, his expression grave. "Miss Hayes," he said formally, "we need to talk." "About your mother." Emma's pulse quickened, but before she could respond, his voice wavered, and to her shock, the powerful billionaire swayed on his feet, his hand clutching at his chest. Within seconds, Daniel collapsed onto the pavement, gasping for breath. Emma screamed, rushing to his side, her hands shaking as she called for help. The man who had walked into her diner the night before, untouchable, unstoppable, was now lying helpless on the ground. And in that terrifying moment, she realized the ring was only the beginning of a story much bigger than she could imagine. The ambulance rushed Daniel to the hospital, with Emma gripping his hand the whole way. His eyes flickered open once, and in a hoarse whisper he said, "Your mother, tell her I'm sorry." The words chilled Emma to her core. She had so many questions, but he slipped back into unconsciousness before she could ask more. At the hospital, Margaret arrived as soon as she heard. Her frail body trembled as she stepped into Daniel's room, where machines beeped steadily. Emma stood by the door, watching in shock as her mother slowly approached the powerful billionaire, her lips quivering. "Daniel," she whispered, as though speaking to a ghost. His eyes fluttered open, and when they landed on her, years of iron control melted into raw emotion. "Margaret," he breathed, tears glistening. "I searched for you. I thought you had left forever." Emma's world tilted. "Mom, what is happening? How do you know him?" Margaret sank into the chair by his bed, clutching his hand. Her voice cracked with pain. "Emma, before you were born, Daniel and I were in love. He gave me this ring as a promise. But his family tore us apart, said I wasn't good enough, that I would ruin his future. I left before you were born, to protect you from their cruelty. I never told him about you." Emma's knees weakened, her mind reeling. "You mean, he's..." Daniel's eyes filled with tears as he looked at her. "Emma. I am your father." The words hung heavy in the air, breaking open years of secrets and sacrifices. Emma's breath caught as anger, shock, and longing tangled inside her chest. "All this time," she whispered, "we struggled, while you lived in wealth." Daniel shook his head, his voice desperate. "I would have given everything to know you. Margaret never told me. I thought she had chosen to disappear. Please, Emma, believe me, I never abandoned you. Margaret sobbed quietly. I thought I was protecting you both. I see now. I only created more pain. For a long moment, silence filled the room, broken only by the steady hum of machines. Then Emma reached out, placing her trembling hand over both of theirs. I don't know how to feel, she admitted. But maybe this is our second chance. Daniel wept openly, a powerful man humbled by the truth. If you'll let me, I want to be the father you never had. Not because of money, but because of love. Emma's heart softened as she looked at her mother, then back at Daniel. The ring that had sparked everything glimmered faintly on his hand, a symbol not just of broken promises, but of a love that had survived in silence. And in that moment, the poor waitress, the sick mother, and the fallen billionaire realized that fate had finally brought them back together. So if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Goodness Corner, because sometimes the most unexpected stories remind us that love, forgiveness, and family are worth more than all the riches in the world.